Good evening and welcome to my podcast. I'm Bob Pace. I'm here to fight CPS and stop taking our children. The CPS is the Child Protection System. It's in every state and worldwide. And I know that you all are going through a horrible nightmare as I was going through myself. CPS also interfered with my life and made my life upside down. Now, I want to give you all a warm welcome. I apologize for being late on this podcast, supposed to start at 7 o'clock. I had something I had no control over. I had bowel movements, and my stomach was really upset, and I needed to take care of that so that I could do this podcast. You know, I do this podcast 7 days a week, twice a day. Once at 10 o'clock in the morning, and except on Sunday, I do it at 8 o'clock. In the evening, I do it at 7 o'clock in the evening. It's for 1 hour and Pacific Standard Time for both show times. So that's 14 shows a week. I've been doing this since October. And I'm here. I'm not an attorney, but I'm here with my experience in CPS and experience of talking over 500 people around the United States, including Washington, D.C., and also the world. I've talked to 13 countries now in there. Now, there's several ways to interact with this podcast. One way is to be in the room. Be in the room. Just be in the room listening is one way. Another way is to text comments to me. Text comments to me. Let me see if I can find that. Yeah. Now, what I mean by text and comments, I'm broadcasting on YouTube. I'm using the StreamYard application. They have a contact section that you can write in your comments. All I ask you is make sure it pertains to CPS. I only have time in this room for CPS. And I love to talk about other things, but I only have time there. Faye, thank you for coming. Faye has been a long time hanging out in this room. She was from Richmond, Kentucky, a wonderful mother. She had 2 children, and she had to make a heart-wrenching decision whether she gives up her girl child or her son. And her son has special needs. So she gave up the girl child, and that child, you know, she does not see. And it's so hard for her because she is a remarkable woman. She's been in foster care growing up as a child 5 times. And she's had horrific actions taken against her by men, and the CPS and the police have all been instrumental on hurting Faye. And she still is a fighter there. And she's trying to get guardianship of her son, who's 23 years old. And he's a special need child. So I want to welcome Faye. Now, with comments, I also want you to show your name, city, state, or country. The reason why I say country, as I told you earlier, we've had about 13 countries text messages about their CPS issues or problems. One is in Bangladesh. The next to Bangladesh is India. And then we have the continent of Africa. We have 4 countries from Africa. We have South Africa and one of the provinces called in. We have Mozambique, which is opposite on the east side of Africa, Madagascar Island. And so we have that country. We have in Central East Africa, near the lake, is Rwanda. And in the 90s, their whole society, they had over 1 million people wiped out and over 400,000 women raped. So it was a really heart-wrenching country that went through that. And they are near a lake in Central East Africa. And then up on the north side on the west side is Liberia, and they've been on several times. A gentleman named Archie has a scout program he talks about, but he's called in several times. Then we go over to Europe, and I've had the United Kingdom with England, Scotland, Wales. And then I've had Denmark and Sweden also text comments about there. Now we go across the pond, and I have North America and I have Canada several times have text messages. I've had all the 50 states, including the District of Columbia. I had Washington, D.C. And then down south of the border, I've had Mexico. And then in South America, I've had Guyana, which is east of Venezuela, north of Brazil. They're on the coast. They have a town called Georgetown, but they had text in. And then across the Pacific, I've had Australia, the land down under, come in too and say that. So be complete with your CPS case. Try to start off with your family makeup. Are you a husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, lovers, partnership? Is the father or the mother still interested with the kids? Is it single parenting? Are there multiple mothers or fathers in this relationship? So, tell me what your family makeup is. Are you a grandparent and you got a daughter that has the situation? But try to be complete what your family makeup is. And then tell me the children you have. Is it 4 children, 5 children, 10 children? Are they boys and girls and the ages? Then you need to tell what you were charged with your allegation. Was it physical abuse or neglect? Those are the 2 things you can be charged with. And I tell you that it's so important that you oh boy, my stomach is so bad tonight. It's the children, if they're like teenagers or young children, the ages, and 3 girls, 3 boys, where the situation is. Also, how you were charged, you neglect or abuse, and go in a little bit more detail about that. And then were the children taken because of extreme danger? Did you give up the children? Did they come into your home? Do you allow them? Did you drive down to the CPS office and give them your children? How did they get the children into foster care? And so forth there. Welcome, Natalie. She's from West Hollywood. And hi, we got Faye and Nadia in the house. So I'm so glad to have you. After you identify what you're charged with, where are you at on your cases? You need to tell me where you're at. Are you at the beginning, the middle, the end, whatever it is? So if you can tell me all that beforehand, we won't have to play ping pong ball, where I ask you a question and then you answer, and I ask you another question and you answer. Then I ask that. So comments is the second way. I said the first way is just by listening. A third way is you want to be a guest speaker on the show. So you can schedule as a guest. I'd love to have you. I have a hardworking individual that works behind the scene. Her name is Grace, and she helps me by supporting me and keep me in line. And she's also the person you need to contact to be placed as a guest. All you have to do is pick a morning or evening show, a Saturday, Sunday, Monday, whatever show, and then you email her at grace@vincentwdavis.com, grace@vincentwdavis.com, and she will help you get on the show. She'll give you the link and tell you what to do, no eating or smoking, and I'd love to have you as a guest. I've had several just recently, and it's great. It is great. And I have a lot of unusual situations that come up. So the third way is to be a guest. Now, the fourth way is to call in to my phone number. I use Vonage on my phone. My office number is 626 698 0990. That's 626 698 0990. So I'm going to leave the number up, and you can call in that you want here. We have Mom of Many. Welcome, Mom of Many. Mom of Many is lives in. Okay, I'm sorry, show. There's background interference. Let me see if I can take care of it. Okay, Mom of Many. She's from Massachusetts. She did an interview. Okay, D. I guess the CPS system did an interview of her 17-year-old at school without my permission or knowledge. My 17-year-old had vowed to weaponize DCF against me in writing. Okay, here's another bad case of teenagers thinking they can use CPS. CPS is awful. Hello, Mom of Many. I got your message. I'm trying to analyze it. Now, last night I had a mother who called in and said that her 14-year-old adopted daughter and her 14-year-old son had sex, and they had a child at 15. Now, you have to worry about the age of consent. Now, they're from Oklahoma. The age of consent is 16. But they have a Romeo Juliet law that allows uh, minors over the age of 14 to have sex with um, 5 years or older. So they can have sex with a 19-year-old, and that seems to be okay in Oklahoma. If they're 13, it's only 3 years. So anyway, that's an awful thing that your daughter is trying to bring in CPS, because what CPS will make your life a nightmare. Your teenager is really messing around with a bad agency. The agency in Massachusetts is not a good agency. I've had many people call from Massachusetts to tell how awful the child protection social workers are. So the mom of many, what she has is that her daughter is making false allegations against her and try to use CPS to her own means. She's 17 years old, and right now she's trying to be a brat. And I'll say it how it is. You minors out there need to respect your children. Don't make fun of them. I had last night the 14-year-old who's 15 laugh. She was on the show too. It's not a funny matter to deal with CPS, but she's pregnant, and they're going to have to raise a child, the two 15-year-olds, because they have a child. And it's sad, because children should not be making babies. Children should not making babies. Now, Natalie, I have no idea what Morocco has to do with guardians. What is Morocco? I don't remember having someone on the show from Morocco, but they're not guardians. They're in another country. The CPS in the United States is what deals with the children. Now, Rosemarie has been on before. Welcome, Rosemarie Lombardo. I get my weekend backs with my daughter, and my son are here with me for the month of August. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that, Rosemarie. Rosemarie further says, they took my weekends away, and I fought to get them back. And did my daughter was taken at 2. She is 4 now and coming home soon. Thank you, Rosemarie. That is beautiful. Mama Minnie says the social worker wants me to sign a release for collateral. The investigation phase was hard enough given my daughter already threatened and thinks this is funny. You do not want to give up your parental rights. You don't want to give it up. It's not a funny matter because you're doing with Russian roulette. You have one bullet in that gun, and CPS will take your daughter and turn on your daughter and put her in foster care. And what you're doing right now is that teenager's got to act maturely because right now she's on the road to bad troubles ahead. Bad troubles ahead. So the CPS are going to investigate, but you got to make sure that you get an attorney. And I don't mean a court appointed attorney. I mean a real attorney that you hire that is a dependency juvenile family lawyer and who's fought CPS. That's the kind of attorney. So don't sign a release. Don't make deals. They're the devil. You don't want to make deals with them because they're the devil. CPS is the devil. Mama Minnie, she's from Massachusetts, has a real bad case because she has a daughter that is trying to be a rebel. Okay, I appreciate you do, Rosemarie. Keep updated. Also, can you tell me the city and state you're from? I've forgotten. And Natalie says Morocco has guardian law, no CPS. I did not know that, Natalie, that Morocco has guardian law and no CPS. How did you find that out, Natalie? And they have no adoptions in Morocco. Wow. Rochester, New York. I remember now, Rosemary. Thank you. So we have a successful case from Rochester, New York. Rosemary is getting her visitation rights and slowly getting her kids back. Can you kind of share with the people in the room what you're doing to get your kids back so maybe they could try something different? Last night we had some unusual situations. And the mother from Oklahoma, I wish she was on again, but she needs to get her other children with guardians from next of kin and get out of there because her son is causing trouble and the Indian tribe has taken over the case and made it really rough on the mother. They're Cherokee Indians, and Oklahoma has 7,700 square miles of Indian reservation. They are the biggest state with Indian reservations, and the Cherokee fact, the Attorney General of the state of Oklahoma is a part of the Cherokee tribe. So this mother from Oklahoma has a really uphill battle because the daughter, who's now 15, making fun on the show. She's making fun on the show. Now, Natalie says, my neighbor in Bel Air told me that fact in Morocco. She is from Morocco. Well, I'm glad you shared that with us, Natalie. If I go to Morocco, I know that they don't have CPS and they don't do adoptions. They have not been on the show yet, but maybe we'll have somebody from Morocco one time text a message. Now, so far we have Natalie from West Hollywood, California. We have Rosemarie Labardo from Rochester, New York. We have Faye Manley from Richmond, Kentucky. And we have Mom of Many, and she's from Massachusetts. And her daughter is trying to use CPS to get back at her. So it's really, 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 really bad. Now, Mom of Many, if you want to call on the show, my number is up. Anybody that wants to call my show, my work number is up. I use Vonage on there, and I can take your call if you just call in. And so I appreciate your interest. I'm trying to help you. It's very hard when you have a 17-year-old teenager go against the parents. That's the worst night that a parent can have. You raise them for 16 years, and they become 17 to become rebellious. And that's sad because at 18, she can move out on her own if she wants to do that routine. No one should do that, but the children, I hate to say it, are steered by bad people. And I want to tell you about some social workers. They're my personal social worker. Our social worker encouraged our daughter to divorce her parents, to seal her birth certificate, to change her name, and be adopted in a foster care. That was at age 12. We did not get her back. She was so brainwashed by the social worker. Now we know from our sons who visit her from time to time that she's okay. She's 22 years old. Something went wrong in foster care. She's no longer with her foster care parents. So, Mom of Many, if you'd like to call in, that'd be great. Rosemarie, if you'd like to share how you're able to get them back, that would be great too. But don't sign a release for collateral. The investigation phase was hard enough, but given my daughter threats ahead of it, thinks this is funny. This is funny. Yeah, Rosemarie says that she had to leave domestic violence. Her and her husband had domestic violence and keep an order of protection and prove that I'm not talking to her husband or having him furthermore. I had to get a income, keep my home clean, completely completed some classes. So that's how Rosemarie is able to get her kids back. That's how she's supposed to get her kids back. She takes the parenting classes. She probably takes the domestic violence program, and she keeps her home nice and clean. And she keeps her husband or boyfriend or whatever the guy was, the father of the children, away by having a restraining order with the domestic violence. So Rosemarie is getting her young children back. Rosemarie further says, and I showed how I learned something and changed. Yes, you did, Rosemarie. You're a success story. Go to go to all my daughter's appointments and get to all my daughter's play therapy appointments and use the skills he teach me to use with my daughter. I'm so happy, Rosemarie. Of course, Rosemarie says she gets to go to all the visitations, which I didn't like calling it that. Now, Mama Minnie says from Massachusetts that her daughter has demonstrated that she will say anything. Well, hopefully you can protect yourself by recording any incident your daughter does in front of you. You can get a camera and record it. Now, 18 months that Rosemarie has been working on getting her kids back. That is a remarkable short time. I'm amazed that you did that. Faye further says they didn't let me attend any of my kids' medical or educational appointments. What Faye did in Richmond, Kentucky is they took away her parental and her educational rights and medical rights, which is wrong. Faye further says they had surgery on her baby, her daughter, and never told her about it. That is wrong. You have medical rights and they're not taken from you. But they went ahead. The CPS is so corrupt there in Richmond, Kentucky. I know it feels like a long time, Rosemarie, from Rochester, New York, but you're a success story because you're getting your kids back slowly. And a lot of parents out there do not have their kids back. Faye doesn't have her daughter, and not a day goes by she doesn't care about her daughter or miss her. Faye had always done everything to ask of her. She is bent over backwards, and they still take advantage of Faye. She said she didn't have my medical rights or education rights. They were taken just to let me be involved. That is so sad that corrupt. Right, they gave back your son, but not your daughter. And it hurts. Oh, Bob says no. Okay. You had your medical rights, but they kept you so you're not involved. Is that what you mean? I know you did all the things to meet the requirements. Okay, I'll read it again. Faye says, I didn't have my medical rights or education rights taken. They just didn't let me be involved. So her medical rights and her education rights were still in place, but they didn't let her get involved. They didn't call her about when her daughter had to have surgery. They didn't call her about the school. And you had to make the choice, Faye. They said, do you want your daughter back or your son back? And she had to make the hard choice. And Natalie says she did all the same requirements. They are very corrupt in Kentucky. Everywhere they took my kids, but I got my kids back in 6 months. Patricia, welcome. What part of Kentucky are you from? Faye's from Richmond, Kentucky, and they are very, very corrupt. And I agree they are, but you got your kids back in 6 months? I want to hear that. Can you call in, Patricia? Can you call in? What city are you from, Patricia, in Kentucky? Faye's from Richmond, Kentucky, and the police are so corrupt there. Faye's course, her case was 4 years. Mine was 3 years. It was a horrible case. Not only do I have my children stolen or trafficking from me, I lost my home because I had to sell it to hire an attorney, and my credit was ruined by CPS. The child protection system is bad. It's an $80 billion business. All they do is they make money. That's all they care about is money. CPS is a money making business. Okay, Patricia was living in Lexington, Kentucky. The worker that took my kids, I used to go to school with her. So you had a worker that you went to school. Did that help you, Patricia? Did they help you? And why were your kids taken from you, Patricia, in Lexington, Kentucky? Why were the kids taken? Rosemarie from um, New York has a court case on the 14th of August. The judge had said our last court date, it is in the best interest of my daughter to be returned to the parent. That is beautiful words. Patricia from Lexington, Kentucky said, they came into my house and took my kids because I own dogs. Where were you neglected or abused by owning the dogs? Also, Rosemarie has hired an attorney, and she thinks it's one of the reasons why she's getting back her kids. Rosemarie from New York. Patricia from Lexington, Kentucky says, the problem really was that you hated me at school and seeing a way to get back at. Did your friend in school hate you that much and wanted to do that corruptness? Is that what happened, Patricia? That your friend hated you? And she wanted to get back? Is that what happened? Now, Patricia says, or Natalie says, police did the same thing because dogs and they took my kids because you had dogs. Why would having dogs take your kids away? And Patricia's friend from high school um, hated her in high school. And after I got my children back, I made sure she did not have a job. Wow. Wow. Good for you, Patricia. Yeah, Rosemarie supports me. That now you have an attorney, the tables are turned. I think I'd like to tell you something really important this time. My rule number one is you need to get a real attorney. And right now, the attorney that is sponsoring this podcast, his name is Vincent W. Davis. He's been practicing law for 35 years, been fighting CPS. He is a juvenile family dependency law attorney. He's a trial attorney. He has fought CPS and he has gotten back to children. He's also done a civil suit against CPS both in state court and federal and won millions of dollars. So he's an excellent attorney. And right now he's offering a consultation. You could just call in at 888-6582 and ask to have a strategy meeting with Mr. Vincent Davis. And he'll talk to you for 30 minutes for $60. It's well spent, that money that you do spend. The money that you do spend. It's well spent. And please call him and talk to him. And if you like his retainer, you can hire him. Rosemarie further says her son has a social security. He is here for the month of August. I asked his father for some of his money, and he threatened me to show our CPS worker. Oh boy, Social Security. Apparently, the father is denying Social Security to the children. Okay, Rosemarie says he doesn't see what his problem is. I don't know which he you're talking about because in the room it's all ladies right now. I don't have any he's in the room. So I don't know what you're talking about. My son had Social Security. He is here for the month of August. I asked his father for some of his money, and he threatened me to show our CPS worker. Are you laughing about your husband? I'm really confused about this statement you say. I don't see what his problem is. Who are you referring to? Who are you referring to? That would help me out. Now, well, the father of my son won't give me his money, even though he's with me. CPS is no longer involved in our custody. Well, that's good news, but are you divorced from the son's father? Are you separated? Do you have a restraining order? What is your involvement with the father of your son? Okay, you're separated. All right, that makes sense. So Rosemarie, on her own, has hired an attorney and trying to get her kids back. She's trying to get her kids back. And that is an important thing there. Um, it's sad when parents don't want to work together to take care of their children. They may have differences with the person they're with or they supposedly love, but they should not abandon their children or pit one against the other. And I'm sorry to hear that, Rosemary. I'm really sorry. Um, are there any questions? Does anybody want to call in? I've talked about my rule number one about hiring an attorney. And it's very important you think about that attorney. If you use a public defender as your attorney, he'll have 30 cases and he won't have time for your case. He also, by you having a court appointed attorney, you can't speak to the judge or talk about your case because once you're represented by counsel, they have to speak for you. And if you have a court appointed attorney, they're friends with the CPS. So that's going to hurt you. That's going to hurt you. You can call in right now. Lisa Warner, the phone line is open. You can call in. Where are you from? Uh, Lisa Warner, where are you from? Yes, it's okay, Rosemary, to talk about your case. I'm glad that you did. I'm so sorry that you have a husband that's turned sour on you. Lisa Warner, you can call in now. My number is, it's up there on the screen, 626 698 0990. That's 626 698 0990. And you can call in. Good evening and welcome. Who am I talking to?
Hello. Hey, how's it going, Mr. Tate?
Pretty good. Is this Lisa Warner? Is this Lisa Warner?
No, that's my wife's YouTube account. I was just on there watching some CPS videos and what they can and cannot do, and then looking at yours and Vincent Davis's information.
Yeah, what is your name? What is your name? And welcome.
My name is Paul.
Paul? And where are you from, Paul?
Yes, sir. Sacramento, California.
Okay. Paul is from Sacramento, California. Lisa Warner, do you still want to call in or do you want to let Paul talk?
No, that's my wife. That's her.
Okay.
That's her page.
Okay. All right. So, what did you guys want to? What is your question?
So, I have a question on certain things with the CPS. So, pretty much, I've taken a numerous amount of drug tests, passed all of them. I try to exercise my rights when they first asked me to drug test. I exercised my rights, and I had a good reason why I didn't go drug test me and my wife because she had kidney stones or whatever, and we had doctor's notes and everything for it. My wife had just got out of the C-section. They came and got my newborn son. He was only 11 days old, and I want to know how can I do I still have to do they still want me to do a case plan or whatever. I'm still doing it just to try to get my son back, but I'm having a whole bunch of false hope because they continuously lie on me, talking about I'm not paying attention in classes. They're saying a bunch of stuff.
Well, they're going to bring you up and they're going to bring you down. The social workers are really foul. There's 8 social workers. They're all women, white women in Prescott, Arizona. In the year 2022, they decided to get pink t-shirts, and on the front of the t-shirts, they had stenciled professional child kidnappers. And on the back of the pink t-shirts, they said, "Do you know where your children are at?" I'm trying to give you examples of what social workers are. And these social workers, these 8 women paraded around Costco, Walmart, Target, and they were immediately fired when CPS got wind of it. Also, the director of CPS was fired. They called their CPS system, they call it DCS, Department of Children's Services. But the whole department in 25 years experience went up in smoke. So these are the kinds of people that you're dealing with. Also, another social worker just 2 months ago from Chicago, Illinois, put on her Facebook page an ad from 1848 that said black children for sale. Now, that being black children, they used the N-word back in 1848. But the social worker was black, so why would a black social worker in Chicago, Illinois put on her Facebook page an ad that said black children for sale. That is wrong. It's the year 2024. The Civil War has been over for 140 years. So why is a social worker? Again, that is an example of a social worker. Another social worker, lady just called me, Crystal, not too long ago, and said that this social worker did an investigation, went to the school without letting the parent know, and he asked to be alone with a 13-year-old minor. Now that is a no-no. If you're an adult, you don't be alone with minors. You need to have a second adult with you. But what he did, he wanted to be alone with her. He asked her to take her top off. He's a pedophile. He was a pedophile. And he took pictures of a 13-year-old. That trauma really affected her. She tells her mom calls CPS, makes a complaint, and that CPS fires that social worker. But unfortunately, that social worker had a friend who he grew up in school. And that friend of his retaliated against the mom and now has made allegations that she's molesting her son. It's so sick what people will do. I'm just trying to give you samples of what you're dealing with. They're not transparent. It's a nightmare. You're Alice in Wonderland, fall in the rabbit hole, and you're going from room to room, going nowhere. Off with your head. You're at a very vicious social worker. They have no scruples. They traffic children into foster care. They alienate children from parents. And on top of that, they lie. They're not transparent. They're really, really, really bad.
Oh, yeah, I understand. Yeah, I'm understanding that. That's what I'm kind of dealing with now. Is like the social worker on our child. She pretty much just lied on the stand about everything that was going on. Like they try to flip my words and my wife's words and try to say her stories were mixed up. They try to say I wasn't.
Well, you're probably using
right.
You're using a public defender, and as I told earlier, you need to get a real attorney. A public defender.
Yeah, that's what we're looking into right now.
I know a public defender will have a caseload of 30 clients. Also, they will not fight for your case, and they're representing you, and your hands are tied because you can't talk to the judge. You need to fire him, and talk to the judge about it. But you need to find a real attorney, because as long as you have that court-appointed attorney, you're locked out of that courtroom. You'll never get to say what you want to say.
Yeah, most definitely. Because my attorney now too, like we appealed the disposition and the jurisdiction disposition after dispositional hearing, and she put the wrong thing where that she said there was a wrong date misplaced supposedly, and they dismissed the appeal. So now I'm trying to figure out how to do it myself.
Okay, there's a thing called a pro.
Yeah,
there's a public defender's not going to help you, but Faye, what is that word? I have someone in my room that knows what you're doing right now. Faye, if you're still there, or Natalie, what is that Latin word when they change the date? When they change the date, which is against the rules there. Natalie says in Arizona, Department of Children's Services let a boy die with high insulin. Natalie, do you remember the word? Is it pro? Nolo pro? Nolo contender? Faye, are you still there? Can you help me out, Faye? Or Natalie? It's a Latin word.
Describes what they were trying to do there?
Yeah, it is called a Latin word, and it's against them changing the dates. They can't change the dates.
Yeah, she tried to say there's a miss error on her part, that she was going to try to help me file another one, but hasn't filed another one. That's why I'm trying to file my own claim.
Okay, you need to look up the word. You need to look at the word non-grow trunk. NON.
Non-grow.
PRO pro tunk. TUNK.
Non.
Pro tunk. Okay, Faye's got it spelled right. It's N-U-N-C. P-R-O. Yeah, P-R-O-T-N-U-C.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's N-U-N-C. P-R-O-T-U-N-C. Let me see if I can look that up. I had it one time. Um, non-pro trunc is a Latin phrase that means now for then, and is a legal term that allows courts to apply retroactive legal effects to actions as if they were performed at an earlier date. The term is also used in relationship to no pro trunc amendments or judgments, which are used to correct the judicial record, errors, or clear injustices, or prevent mistakes in proceedings. For example, a court might issue a non pro trunc judgment to allow a state to recover damages that would otherwise be denied if the deceased died between the conclusion of the trial and the judgment. See if that can help you out. See if that can help you out.
I think I was just wanting to know, like, say, all right, instead of taking 8 tests, pass all of them, and this is pre-trial. This is when they just like get at me, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna cooperate just to show you guys. Like, the burden of proof is pretty much switched on me. Then they take us to court, and then now the judge found them by preponderance of evidence and clear convincing evidence saying that I have a substance abuse problem. But I passed every test. I've never given them a reason why. Like, I don't. Like, is there any way, like, is there a certain amount of tests I have to take that if I pass, like, that the whole case should be dismissed or something? Like, is there any stipulation with that?
No, I don't think so. They're never going to dismiss the case. They're corrupt. They're corrupt.
Yeah, I kind of figured that. All right.
They can't backdate something. They can't backdate something. They cannot backdate.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, my due process, what I believe was, like, just completely violated. Like, they came one day, she asked us to test, I told her I'm exercising my right. I'll test if a judge asks me to. That same night she came with a warrant to take my turn.
Yeah. Hello, Christina, and welcome. I have one of my regulars show up in the room.
But I appreciate you, Mr. Pace, all right?
Yeah,
I'm gonna keep paying. I'm gonna keep tuning in though, and then if I get something new comes up, I'll give you a call.
Please do. I'm on twice a day, and I'll gladly help you. Okay. Thank you for calling in. Okay, we had a gentleman that the CPS is trying to change the dates, and that is so sad. And trying to throw his cases out. Christina wants to be a guest on the show. All you have to do, Cristobal Archer. Well, not Christina. This is Cristobal Archer. Cristobal Archer is from Liberia. And all she has to do is contact Grace. I think he has contacted Grace. Okay, I'm confused right now. Who is Cristobal Archer? There's Archie from Liberia, but who is Cristobal Archer? Okay, lives in San Diego. And all he has to do is email Grace and she'll put him on the podcast as a guest. It's Grace at vincentwdavis.com. Okay, Chris has a case in Florida and he's currently exiled in California. Chris, all you do is email Grace at vincentwdavis.com. Tell him you want to be in my morning show tomorrow. And thank you for bringing his attention, Chris. Christopher Archer is a public speaker and a nonprofit director. Thank you for being on the show. All you have to do is go to Grace at vincentwdavis.com, email her, and she'll help you. Okay, Chris Archer is a former foster youth, just like Faye was once. So welcome, Chris Archer. I have about 4 minutes left. I've gone late tonight, and I'm sorry. I had some stomach issues I had to take care of, and that's why I had the late start. But I want to make sure that all your concerns are addressed. So I'm on again tomorrow at 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So I encourage all you to call or be a guest on my show tomorrow or tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Because I do want to help you. I want to thank Faye from Richmond, Kentucky for helping me on the show. I want to thank Christopher Archer from Florida. He's currently in exile in California. And I want to thank Kristen Rizenzo for showing up and helping me with these people. I want to thank Rosemarie Lombardo that has good news at her visitations and she's getting her kids back. She's getting her kids back. I want to thank her for being on the show. I want to thank Natalia from West Hollywood, California for being on the show and helping me remember things. Lisa Warner, I think, is the wife of the gentleman that called in, Paul. And they have a special CPS case. Let me see who else we have had. Patricia Hammond is from Kentucky, Lexington, Kentucky. And she had trouble with a social worker who remembered from her school years. So I want to thank Patricia Hammer. And did we forget anybody else? Rosemarie, we've called. Faye. Oh, the one called the Moms of Minnie. The Moms of Minnie from Massachusetts. Thank you for calling in. I wanted to say, keep fighting for your children's rights. Don't give up. You will get your kids back. God bless you all. And it's Bob Pace signing off. And I'll see you tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Good night.